right, so today we are here with Murray Larsen. Everyone's talking about you on the web, so for those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to jump on and say thank you so much for having me on here. It's always so fun. I love jumping on and getting to know people and knowing who they are and being on their shows and everything. It's so much fun. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Murray Larsen. I am a 22-year-old squirt kid that loves to make money online, and I think it's really, really fun. And I do so via podcasting and repurposing my content like crazy. So that's a little bit who I am. I am a college kid, as I said before. I have been doing school part-time so that I tell people that I full-time school I full-time work, so I side hustle school, and which is kind of funny. But I have loved being able to get my face out there, get other people's faces out there, and I am known for getting people loud in their industry. So people come to me when they want to become the person in their industry rather than a person in their industry. So that's a little bit about me. That's who I am.
So how did you get started with podcasting?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I actually, I served a mission for my faith for a year and a half in Spain. And while I was there, I didn't really have technology or anything. Like it was really just focused on other people, and it was fantastic. And when I got back, my whole life I've wanted to be a dentist. And I realized that was something that I didn't want to do anymore. And I started talking to my dad and to my oldest brother, and they started telling me that I should look into business. And I thought that was kind of a funny thing. I was like, business? That's kind of weird. Who does business? And as I got into it, they said, you should check it out. I think you would like it. And so as I started studying it out, I realized that it was something that I was really passionate about. And I was so grateful for it. And my brother said, hey, while you were gone, this thing called Clickfunnels happened, and you should check it out. Now, for those of you who don't know what Clickfunnels is, it's a sales funnel process in order to really boost out your sales processes. And so it's really awesome, and I have loved it. That whole community, though, is very much into podcasting and to repurposing their content like crazy. And that's kind of where I jumped in, and I started doing it for my brother, and we got him really big and really loud in that world. And so I started doing it for other people and started getting them loud in their industries as well. And it's been a really fun journey. So that's kind of how I got started, was by pretty much falling into the ClickFunnels world. And so it was awesome. I loved it. It was so good.
Are people impressed when you say that you make money with podcasts? Are they surprised?
Yeah, they are. And it's really funny because people think that it's just the podcast themselves, when really the podcast is a lead generation source, right?
Okay.
You need to make sure that you have great courses or great whatever it is that you're selling, great products and services in general, whatever it is that you have, then the podcast itself is a lead generation source that you can push out like crazy. Your podcast listeners are going to be your best listeners. On average, they make $150K US dollars a year, people who listen to podcasts. And so those people are looking for places to put their money, to grow even further, to find ways to invest and little things like that. And so they listen to podcasts as a source of information that they can go through and really push out within their own lives, within their own companies, learn how to do their own side hustles or jobs as well. And anyway, so your podcast listeners will be your most loyal customers and buyers. And so those are the type of people that we really want to bring into our little circle and really provide a lot of value for.
Yeah. So what type of content are you working right now with your podcast?
For my personal one or for clients in general?
Well, your personal one.
With my personal one, so I have a rule of 30, and you'll hear about this maybe if you, I'm part of a summit that's going on starting up next week, and I talk about my rule of 30 a lot. And my rule of 30 is, in the podcasting industry, if you get to episode 30 to 40, around that range, your podcast actually, you start doubling down on your downloads. And it's actually a really crucial part in the podcasting world. Now, for my personal one right now, I just started a new podcast like a month ago.
Okay.
And I am hitting that one to get to my rule of 30. And once that's there, then it'll start doubling down again here in this next little bit. So the content that I'm working with is making sure that I have planned out strategy. I've strategized with my team, with everyone, that we go through and really figure out what the customers are looking for, what common topics that they have false beliefs about, what things that I can hit on that within the podcast, and be able to crush those false beliefs and reestablish a new story for them to really follow and believe. And so it's really awesome. It's really fun. And so that's what we're doing right now, is we're breaking their false beliefs and reestablishing new ones for them right now within the podcasting industry, so that people also can understand that it is a source of lead generation and a place where they can make money.
Cool. So are you focusing on shows where it's like more about the person themselves than an interview style podcast?
So there's a mix. I tell people an average of like every 2 episodes that you do by yourself, then on the third you should interview someone. So 2 by yourself, interview someone, 2 by yourself, interview someone.
Okay.
Keep it going like that. That's breaks it up really nicely. So I just published a podcast episode this morning for my podcast and it was just me talking, and that was my break. That was my last break, and then I will interview someone for the next one and get that one up as well. So it's kind of the pattern that we go for. Is it's getting that flow.
Yeah. And for someone who started a podcast already where it's interview based, should they change the structure of it, or should they just keep it being interviews only?
It depends on your industry. I would tell you to sit down and ask your audience. Something that I literally just did within my own Facebook group this last little bit. And I've got lots of people in there. I jumped in and I asked, what do you prefer? Do you prefer interviews, or do you prefer just the solo host going through and talking? And they said the majority of the answers was that people appreciated interviews and a mix of that. So they go through and get a mix of that more than anything. Then it breaks it up, and they can establish a relationship with their client base and customer base more than anything.
Okay, cool. So what were the challenges? I mean, the challenges that you have to face to really convince people to start a podcast? Because maybe there is a lot of people that don't really understand the value, and they say, okay, what can you bring to my business? A podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there are a lot of people that don't understand the value of it, which is fine. And I want the people that already understand the value of it. So I actually don't work with people that I have to convince into podcasting, right? I want the people who will come to me and understand that it is a valuable tactic for them already. And so the people that I really find that to be a common theme of somewhere that they should really push that out towards is the Clickfunnels world, the Infusionsoft world, the Leadpages world, that entire software sales funnels world. It's a common theme that they understand that to be present and to really get your face out there, to get your voice out there, then you should have your podcast so that you can go then and repurpose that content like crazy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So also, how powerful is it to have a podcast, inviting a guest on your podcast as a freebie for your audience? Does this, because like influencer marketing and all that?
Absolutely. Now, I will say that it is so powerful. I've had some people say that they don't want to interview people at all, that they want it to be all their own solo podcast, which I think is, in my personal opinion, is a false thing, that you should not do that. The more that you get to interview people, think of it like this. It's like cross-pollination, right? You get to go through and cross-pollinate with other people's audiences and stuff like that. Now, the reason why you want that to happen is, think about how powerful it is as an influencer to have an audience, right? If you have an audience that goes through and knows exactly who you are, they trust you, they love you, they're going to buy your products, your services. Just when you say jump, they're going to jump. When you say buy, they're going to buy. And so that is something, to me, that is super important, is building out that audience to such a structure that they love everything that you have to offer. Now, if you can cross-pollinate those audiences and bring other people and whatnot into other influencers, that will only grow and help your podcast to the next level.
Do you also
Okay, cool.
do you also think that mixing the audiences is somewhat a bad idea at times, because you're going to be borrowing other people's audiences opposed to creating your own?
You will create people who are really, really loyal to you. You'll create loyalty more than anything, and that loyalty is what's super crucial, right? Creating that loyalty is something that will help you really understand. And yes, there are times where it's like, maybe you shouldn't do that, but I have never, yet up to this point, I have yet to see anyone be hurt rather than helped by cross-pollinating.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So how do you monetize that loyalty? Because
depends on your industry for sure. Okay. But if we're talking about a digital marketing industry and how you can push that out, then going through and having products, services, taking them through a value ladder, right? And going through and having a value ladder that's really established. So having free things, right? A podcast is something that you can go through and push out so much value through, and your audience will start to trust you, right? Then you can take that content and all of a sudden you have a free, lead magnet, right? So then it's free. Then you can show them your free Facebook group, your Instagram, all these different things where they can really get to trust you. There's this statistic that says that you have to be in contact with a customer or client 7 times before they start to trust you, or they will even purchase from you, right?
Okay.
And so if you can go through and really push that out and really grow that to the next level, then people are so excited. They love you. They're so excited. And you've grown it out to a point where they are going to buy when you say, hey, by the way, I have a $37 ebook. Or, hey, by the way, I have a $997 course, right? Or whatever it is. And you can really push it out, and people will have already established that trust with you. You already heard all of their cries and wants via your Facebook groups and the concerns that they have, and have found solutions for them.
Cool. So let's say it's a good idea to make the guests that are coming on your podcast, to make them pay to be on your show. It's a good strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It depends on what you're trying to go for. I will tell you, I don't like doing that. It's not my personal preference, although I do have clients that do it, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But for me personally, I would rather create a friendship or a relationship with someone that is established and super good, that eventually we could JV on, or we could create some sort of partnership in order to push that up to the next level, right? I'd much rather do that than for someone to pay to be on someone's show or something.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Also, I have another question concerning the free offers. How much free offers? I'm trying to say, like, how much free stuff is too much, basically. Like, when should you break the cycle and say, like, enough is enough with the free offers? Maybe you should have like a few webinars or a few free offers, but really concerned about keeping your pricing still to its peak, because you want to make sure that you're not someone that is worth nothing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say give as much away as you possibly can. And the reason for that being is that if you can do that, then you'll have a growing audience, right? My audience is currently growing to a larger number, which I'm so excited about. However, if you're not going through and establishing that and growing out that trust with people, then why would they ever stop to try and purchase something from you? That doesn't make any sense. And so instead, going through and making sure that you have established a lot of free value, giving them as much as you possibly can. But yes, again, you also need to make sure that you're getting paid. In order to do that, I think it's funny. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, Maria, your podcast is so valuable. This has been so helpful. I appreciate this. Thank you so much. And they do all this. And I always make sure to make a point and say, yeah, this stuff is so valuable. You're right. Now just imagine what the paid stuff is like, and then they're like, oh, and it's just like this, like, little bomb goes off, and they're like, oh, that's right. Like if this is all the free stuff, how valuable is this free stuff? Then what is it like to have the paid stuff? What is that like? What would that affect my life like?
Yeah. Do you think that podcasts can open other possibilities, like be here on TV shows or be here on radios and everything?
Yeah, I've already had those opportunities. I it's so bad. I've gotten my whole family on podcasting, and it's really funny. But even my dad, who has his about financial investing, he's had people reach out to him all the time. He's had different money-making opportunities because of it. He's had the opportunity to do JV partnerships with people just because they wanted his expertise, because they knew that he had an audience that would listen, right?
Okay.
Because he built that out. And so I absolutely think that that is something that's important.
Cool. So where do you see yourself in the near future? Do you have any other big projects that you're working on?
Oh man, too many.
Finish course? You have to finish course first.
Oh my goodness, it's awful. I am trying to finish school in this next little bit, but I'm taking classes part-time.
Okay.
I work a lot and I'm focused on that, which is great. And then I have my, 12 credits on the side, which is great.
Yes.
And I love it and it's so fun. But my big thing in this next little bit is to build out and just really structure my business to the next level. As soon as that's done, I'll be done with school by that point, and then we can really scale a lot. So I'm super excited about it.
So you took the decision to actually not leave school, the education system. I myself have completed a bachelor's degree. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs that are currently in school?
I'm sorry. It's really hard as an entrepreneur. I have a hard time sitting in my marketing classes, sitting in my business classes, and having people say, oh, and this is the strategy for X, Y, and Z. And I'll raise my hand really fast and be like, you're wrong. Russell Brunson didn't teach me that. Like, that's not what he said. And that's 10 years outdated, or Alex Sharfman told me this, or whatever it is. And I've gotten in legitimate fights with some of my professors because of it, to the point where they'll say, Marie, or I've walked into classes and I'll say, you're awesome. You're so cool. But I think I'm going to learn more on my own than from this class. But I still need to do it, and I need to pass this class. And they will look at me and say, well, why the heck, or like, what, you need to be doing all the homework, all the assignments. And I'll tell them, I'm not going to do any of the homework. I'm not going to do any of the assignments. But I'll do a prototype business for this class, and I will make $400 off of it and donate it all to charities or something like that. And I've gotten in legitimate fights with some of my professors because of it. In the end, I've been able to monetize different things and I guess prove to them that I know what I'm doing and I can go through and really push it out to the next level, which has been a huge blessing for sure.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself coaching the other students in business and marketing? And
yeah, I definitely have had some really fun experiences going through, and because I'm part of Russell Brunson's 2 Comma Club X coaching program right now, and I'm part of some other coaching programs, and the business coaches that I do have that have really helped me excel to the next level have been so helpful. It'll be interesting when I'm sitting in class or when I'm talking to a certain student, and they'll be fixated over something that a textbook that was made in the 90s is saying, and I'm saying, that's before Facebook. That's before Instagram. This stuff is so outdated. These strategies are 10 years old.
Yes.
This really doesn't make a lot of sense that we are so fixated on this stuff. We need more current, up-to-date stuff to really help us understand what we can do for our businesses now, rather than learning from stuff in the past. Not saying that you can't learn strategies and tactics from the past, but I definitely like learning more of the cutting-edge stuff. And so being in school right now has been difficult. Having a 6-figure business on the side and then also going to school has been something that's been very difficult for me to try and focus solely on school. And there have been so many tempting moments to quit. And it's been a mental battle for me to really stop and make sure that I am pushing out as hard as I can to really take it to the next level.
Yeah. Cool. Should universities basically get programs online to maybe adapt their curriculum?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, something that I would definitely say is have people go through and learn stuff. If they are wanting to learn how to sell and sell really well, go learn from Russell Brunson. And I will say that, I will shout it out off the rooftops, because that for me has been the life-changing pinnacle moment in my life, is when I decided to stop and learn from people outside of a college situation. I was able to go through and really figure out how to make things work on my own and see how I could help other companies scale as well. And because of it, I've had opportunities to help scale businesses from 6-figure to 7-figure, from 7-figure to 8-figure, and whatever it is. I've been so grateful for those opportunities, but school didn't give those opportunities for me. I had to go looking for them.
So what happened when you took that leap where you told yourself, well, this information from school isn't serving me, so I'm going to go elsewhere? What was happening in your mind?
Oh man, it was rough. It was rough. I'm not going to lie. I've had a lot of doubts, and I've had to go through and really figure out what purpose school has filled for me. And I have about 1.5 years left, but I currently take all of my classes online, which I'm so grateful for. It's really been able to help me be flexible with my schedule and be flexible for the schedules of my clients. So I'm grateful for that. But making that decision to go find information elsewhere aside from school and be able to invest lots of money into those programs, into those things that will really help me scale, was a big decision for me. And the thing that really pivoted me on that was when my brother Steven asked me if I was going to be doing one of these programs, and he said, Marie, just remember, those who pay attention, because these coaching programs are, $22,000. And as a poor college kid, that was a lot of money, and I couldn't fathom the idea of spending $22,000 on something that was just over the top. Right.
Okay.
I realized though that it was a challenge that I was willing to take. And because of it, I, would work like crazy. I would go through and really push, making connections and networking, and really making sure that this would be a possibility for me. But it did take a lot for me to have that mindset shift and be okay with realizing that school isn't always the answer. However, I am going to finish school, and I will finish. I have this 1.5 years left, so I'm going to do it. But and I know that I always kick myself for not finishing, but it is something that I've had to struggle with for the last 2 years now at this point.
Okay.
So.
Cool. So where do you see the podcast industry going in the future with the rising voice and AI, Alexa? Where do you see the podcast industry going?
Oh, it's so fun. The audio industry is, it's exploding. And the reason for that being is that video, a lot of times, people have to stop and focus on a video a lot of times. They can't multitask. The great thing with the audio industry is that someone can put their headphones in, put it on double time speed, and go for a run, right? Listen to something while they're running or doing the dishes or driving in their car or wherever they are. And I think it was Grant Cardone who actually said that audio is the future of marketing, and I couldn't agree more with that.
It's true.
That is that's really something that these days that people, when they want to find information, they listen to an audiobook or they find someone on YouTube or whatever it is, but people listen to a lot of concepts and strategies or whatever they can from other experts who have been able to beat the odds, and no one asks, well, let me see your degree, let me see the, more than anything, people want to see, oh, you can make $1 million. Oh, that's really cool. How do you do that? Right.
Yeah. True.
And so that's been something that I've had to learn as well, that the credentials these days are more than anything, what number you're able to attain rather than the piece of paper that you're able to put in front of someone.
Cool.
All right. So one final question. For people who want to start their podcast, what advice would you give them?
I would say number one, follow the rule of 30 by not giving up within the first 30 episodes. And the second thing is get really good at storytelling. And I know that sounds really funny, but I'll give you an example. And I think I've told Antoine this before, but if you go to a store in the United States, you can get an American flag for about $50. But then if you go to, but my family has a flag that flew on top of the White House. And because of that flag on top of the White House, that flag is now worth hundreds of dollars. Now, if you want to take it a step further, there's a flag that flies on top of the moon. That flag right there is worth millions and millions of dollars. But the thing is that it is the same product, $50 product every single time. The only thing that changed was the story, right?
Okay.
And so my favorite thing that Russell Brunson says is that he says, stories sell and facts tell, right? And so if you can get really good at storytelling and making sure that your stories are captivating and provide extra value within your industry, then you will be able to take it to the next level, right? You will be able to really push it out and see your percentages, your margins really push to the next level as well. And so getting really good at storytelling and incorporating that with a topic that is a common false belief or something that is really impeding on someone is going to really help you push to the next level and be able to provide that value where people are going to be willing to take out their credit cards and pay you for it.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So also, just a final one, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so the two best places people can probably find me on social medias is number one, going to my Facebook group. It's called Profitable Podcasting Strategies for Entrepreneurs, which is awesome. And then you can find me via Instagram, and it's just marie.larsen, Larsen, on Instagram as well. So those are probably the best two places that you can find me. And if people have questions, concerns, or anything like that, jump into that group. It's pretty active. People jump in and ask each other questions all the time, and strategies that they can go through in order to really create a marketing strategy for their lead generation rather than just like they're speaking into a microphone, right? And finding ways to really push out and monetize to the next level on that. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate having the opportunity on here. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.